your time.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon, Mr. Guzman, Mr. Perez. I have a quick question. Mr. Guzman. Good afternoon, Mr. Guzman. Can you hear me? Ms. Cruz, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Garcia, Ray texted me that he's trying to log in through Zoom and he's trying to join me.
Mr. Guzman, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Okay, great. Is it all right if I leave my video off?
That's fine, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Good afternoon, Roma ISD family and guests. We're about to start this meeting. It is now 6 p.m. and I call this called meeting of the Roma Independent School District Board of Trustees being held this Wednesday evening, May the 5th, 2021 to order. Let the record show that this meeting was duly posted according to the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. Agenda item number 1 is roll call. Board Vice President, Mr. Jaime Escobar.
Here.
Board Secretary, Mrs. Yadira Ibarreda.
Here.
Board Member, Mrs. Clarissa B. Alvarez.
Here.
Board Member, Mrs. Mary Lou Cruz.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Raul P. Moreno Jr.
Here.
Board Member, Mr. Ray Rodriguez Jr. And myself, Board President, Mr. Ricardo A. Perez, present. Let the record show we do have a quorum in attendance at this called meeting. Agenda item number 2, public comments. Presenter will be Superintendent Mr. Carlos Guzman. Mr. Guzman.
We have none.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Then we'll move on to agenda item number 3, consideration possible action regarding instructional materials allotment and teach certification 2021-2022. The presenter will be District Executive Director, Mr. Noé Guzman.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the board and ladies of the board. Every year we come before you to ask for certification of using from the certification that we're going to be using these monies only to buy textbooks and instructional materials. And these textbooks must be teach related. And that if we are asked by the State Board of Education to show what we bought, we provide that information to them. And that's basically it. They're asking for your certification that we're going to be doing these things.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Is there a motion on the floor?
I shall move, sir, for item number 3 to be approved.
Thank you, Mrs. Cruz. Is a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez. Is there any further discussion? It has been moved by Mrs. Mary Lou Cruz and seconded by Mrs. Clarissa Alvarez that agenda item number 3 be approved as presented. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
All those
Aye.
opposed, please say no and raise your hand.
Aye.
7-4 and none opposed. Excuse me, 6-4.
Yes, I think they're working on it right now. Yeah. So the record can show that he's trying to log in, but he's still not present.
Okay. The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Guzman.
Thank you.
Let the record show that Mr. Ray Rodriguez, Trustee Ray Rodriguez is at this moment trying to log in through Zoom. Agenda item number 4, consideration possible action on amendment of summer school budget. The presenter will be District Federal Programs Director, Dr. Adrian Guerra. Dr. Guerra.
Good evening, Board President, Mr. Perez, members of the board, Superintendent Guzman. I have a proposal to amend the approved 2021 summer school, summer program budget. There are 4 areas that I'm going to address this evening. If you want to follow along in your board book, it's on page 9. So the first area is for the Special Education Department. Mrs. Melissa Galvan sent me a request to add additional staff for special education services to Delia G. Garcia Elementary. The approved budget from the last meeting included 1 teacher, 2 teacher aides, and 1 enrichment teacher. The proposed amendment includes 2 teachers, 3 teacher aides, and 1 enrichment teacher for DGG. The funding would come from the special ed funds. The second item relates to the migrant education program for the summer. At the time that I submitted the proposal, I had anticipated adding an additional teacher, hoping that we would have commitment from more students. But based on the available data, I will not be adding a 7th instructor since the numbers do not justify doing so for the migrant summer program. The third item is a Region 1 PATHS pilot program with DHR. This is a unique opportunity for our students to participate in a pilot program with DHR Health Institute of Research and Development. The students in this cohort will be involved in clinical research and will provide them with real-life experiences in data science. This summer camp will take place during 4 weeks in June. The student participation is completely free for us. The only request is that the district provide 1 teacher mentor. The amended budget adds 1 teacher to act as a mentor. The fourth and last item is a request by Chief Ben Gonzalez, who is requesting 5 additional security officers to work after the completion of their yearly 180 days and only for 16 days. Again, these are not additional officers. These are officers that are already employed by the district. We're just adding 16 days for them. Chief Gonzalez stated that these officers are needed to ensure the safety and welfare of our students and school personnel. The funding for these school officers would come from ADSE, additional days school year funding that we discussed at the last board meeting. Are there any questions from any of the board members on this proposal?
Sir, and who would, what teacher would be in charge of the PATH pilot program?
So for that one, we would want to open up an application to where this would be high school teachers, and they would have to sign up, and then the recommendation would come from CTE Director, Mr. Joe Martinez.
So these additional teachers, they have not been, like hired yet, I guess, okay.
Yes, and it would have to be, I believe, a high school teacher.
But it also goes for the special education and, well, the extra securities, those weren't accounted for at the beginning, but the extra teacher aid, for the special ed program, those.
You'll be approving them in one of the next board agenda items. They're included in there already. The only difference is in the migrant, when I did this amendment, I put 7, but I'm only recommending 6 because the numbers do not justify a 7th individual.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
I so move to accept agenda item number 4 as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, it has been moved by trustee Escobar and seconded by trustee Barrera that agenda item number 4 be approved as presented. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
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 Thank you, Mrs. Alvarez.
Thank you.
All those opposed, please say no and raise your hand. We have 6 in favor, none opposed. Motion carries. Agenda item number 5, consideration possible action on summer school recommendations for employment. Presenter will be Superintendent Mr. Carlos Guzman.
Again, you all have the list. We're requesting that you please approve the list as presented.
Is there a motion on the floor?
I shall move that we accept the summer school recommendations for employment.
I'll second.
Trustee Rodriguez?
Yes, sir. I'll second it.
Thank you. If there isn't any further discussion, then it has been moved by trustee Cruz and seconded by trustee Rodriguez that agenda item number 5 be approved as presented. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I will approve, but I will abstain from voting for Gloria Moreno.
I vote for all candidates presented, but I abstain due to conflict of interest with my relatives, Abelardo Escobar, Aida Escobar, and Brenda Escobar.
Okay.
I approve all candidates, but I'm gonna abstain from paraprofessional Rosa Maria Barrera.
All right. All those opposed, please say no and raise your hand. 7 in favor with abstentions. And none against. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, consideration possible action on approving Roma ISD comprehensive goals. The presenter will be District Federal Programs Director, Dr. Adrian Guerra. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, sir. If you want to join me on your binders and your board books, page 177. Members of the board, I'm presenting to you a set of comprehensive goals for the Roma Independent School District. Before I present the goals, I want to go through a brief explanation of other goals that you have already approved and a brief overview of the importance of these goals. Please bear with me. I want to first try to clear up any confusion you might have. It can certainly get confusing when you hear the word goals over and over again. House Bill 3, passed by the state legislature in 2019, mandated school boards adopt student outcome goals in 3 areas: early childhood literacy, early childhood math, and one in CCMR, which is the college, career, and military readiness. Those have already been approved by the board. Do not worry about those. These are a little bit different. So school boards are also tasked with adopting a statement of vision for education in the district, as well as comprehensive district goals. These goals that are being proposed this evening will guide our campus teams as they start working on their campus needs assessments and the campus improvement plans. Goals create structure and describe desired outcomes. Goals provide a picture of where we want to be. The goals push us toward our vision, a dynamic community committed to the achievement of student excellence. The campuses then will come out with their SMART performance objectives that describe what they will do in their campuses to achieve these district goals. By SMART performance objectives, we mean they're specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-based. So each campus comes up with their own SMART performance objectives. Let me give you an example of a SMART performance objective. Through promoting parental involvement with communication, active participation, and community partnerships, we expect a 10% increase in family/community participation in the educational process by the end of the school year. That's a sample of what the campuses would come up with based on our goals. A campus with this SMART performance objective would come up with the strategies. I also want to mention that these comprehensive goals have gone through several levels of scrutiny and revisions. Let me outline these levels of revisions for you. The process began with a district instructional leadership team. We gathered comprehensive goals from other districts and from TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards. They have a page dedicated to providing information about comprehensive goals for the district. The leadership team narrowed the list down to 5 goals. Each team member was given the opportunity to provide their edits. The next step in the process was to obtain feedback from a set of professional employees and a set of parents, all recommended by the campus principals to participate in this committee. We received great feedback from all these individuals. Let me read to you just a few comments from the parents and the professional staff members. One individual stated, and I quote, "I feel that these goals accurately reflect what we consider important at Roma ISD, and they represent who we are and where we need to be as a district." Another one said, "Muchas gracias, me parecen muy buenas las metas que desean implementar." And finally, one more comment from another member, "I'm so excited to be part of this committee. I strongly believe that reaching out to all the campuses with their feedback will have a positive impact in the decision-making process for our district. The goals reflect and represent us as a district." So the 5 major topics that these goals address are safety and wellness, student learning, empowering teachers and administrators, family, community, stakeholder engagement, and the effective use of resources for our district. These 5 major areas all support student learning and student excellence. So let me just go over read the 5 proposed goals for the record. Number 1, Roma ISD will provide learning environments and structures designed to promote a physical, emotional, and cultural focus on safety and wellness for all students and staff. Number 2, Roma ISD will provide rigorous, effective, and engaging curricula, instruction, and enrichment activities to prepare all students for graduation and post-secondary success. Roma ISD, number 3, will equip and empower campus leadership, faculty, and staff to consistently incorporate research-based best practices in curricula, resulting in future-ready students. Number 4, Roma ISD will engage all stakeholders in developing positive, collaborative relationships and community partnerships. And number 5, Roma ISD will effectively and efficiently manage district resources and operations to maximize opportunities for all students and all staff. So members of the board, I respectfully request that you consider approving these comprehensive goals as presented. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you, Dr. Guerrero.
Thank you.
Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion to approve agenda item number 6, comprehensive goals.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? If not, it has been moved by trustee Barrera and seconded by trustee Cruz to approve agenda item 6 as presented. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. That'll be 7-4, none against. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Agenda item number 7, consideration possible approval to purchase a forklift for the food service department. The presenter will be District Accountant, Mr. Pedro Alanis. Mr. Alanis, you have the floor.
Good evening. At this time, we're recommending to purchase a forklift for the food service department. Mr. J.J. Trevino recommends this particular model. It's a Toyota Model 8FGU25. From the vendor is Doggett, and the price is $32,957.
I so move to approve item number 7 as presented.
I'll second.
Any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Alanis, this is part of the buy board.
Yes, yes. We received several quotes, and this is the one he recommended.
So I have a question. Is this a replacement of one that they already had, or they didn't have, or is it an additional?
It's a replacement.
It's a replacement.
Yes.
Okay. If there isn't any further discussion, it has been moved by trustee Moreno and seconded by trustee Rodriguez to grant approval for the purchase of a forklift for the food service department. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
7 in favor, none against. Motion carries. Agenda item number 8, consideration possible approval to purchase 2 school buses for the transportation department. Presenter again will be District Accountant, Mr. Pedro Alanis. Mr. Alanis, you have the floor.
Yes, at this time, we recommended to purchase 2 school buses for the transportation department, recommended by Mr. Cantu. And they are 2022 international buses, which is, they're the buses that we currently have. And each bus costs $105,214, and the vendor is Langhorne Bus Sales.
Are those the full-size vehicles or buses?
Excuse me?
Mr. Alanis, are those the full-size buses?
Yes,
Full size.
yes,
The-
77
Not
passenger
the
bus.
small ones, right?
77
Okay.
passenger bus.
And this is a company that Roma ISD always purchases. school
Yes, ma'am.
buses from.
Yes, Langhorne Bus Sales is another buy board vendor.
And you're recommending, Mr. Alanis?
Yes, and Mr. Cantu he recommends this particular model. And yes, we're recommending to purchase.
Any difference from the most recent purchase that we've had from buses?
Any difference?
Any difference from the
The
ones
last
that we have?
buses that we purchased, what was the
From the
price?
other models?
Yeah, it was the same model we purchased about 2 years ago. And the last bus was, I believe, 99,600. And last year we didn't buy any school buses. Actually, they were requesting 4, but we said that for this budget we can get 2.
Who was requesting for?
The transportation department, Mr. Cantu and Mr. Lozano. Because last year, since we are buying 2 buses every year, and last year we didn't purchase any buses. So what we recommend is to recommend the purchase of 2 buses right now, and then maybe early in September with the next budget, purchase another 2 buses.
We don't purchase buses every year.
That's the recommendation for the past, since 2005, was to purchase 2 buses per year.
And that had been happening, correct, Mr. Alanis, for the exception of last year. If I remember correctly, we were gonna hold off, and just like you mentioned, but did we set aside that money for this year? For the
Yes.
purchases of the buses right now?
Yes, it's set in the budget. In our general fund, we set the 210,000 for the purchase of school buses, but we might, we checked with TEA, and we can get, from the ACER grant, we can use those funds.
Okay.
So we'll save the 200,000 from our general fund this year. And maybe next year also we can get it from the ESSER grant.
But we had budgeted from our general fund either way, right? We had
Yes,
budgeted.
it's currently budgeted, but we're gonna save that money it's gonna be part of the deficit savings.
In other words, the ESSER grant will pay for these buses instead of the general fund.
Yes, and it's we can do it. We can buy buses.
That's the plan.
Yes,
That's the plan.
yes, the recommendation.
What do you mean the recommendation? No, the plan is that the ESSER Act, that the CARES Act is gonna cover that. That's
Yes.
the plan.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Mr. Alanis? If
And
not,
again,
then,
this is the bus that Mr. Cantu is recommending these buses?
Yeah, because
Are
actually.
they compliant with Mr. Cantu? Can he come to the, or do you know about the buses that?
Yes, we have several buses. We purchased these international buses before, and then there's other Bluebird buses, and they're having a lot of problem with the Bluebird buses. I believe the closest shop is in Laredo and FAR. They service the Longhorn buses, and for the Bluebird, it's in Selma, near San Antonio. So, and the mechanics, our mechanics, they're very familiar with the Longhorn buses, and it has a diesel engine, the Cummins engine. So they're very familiar, and that's what they're recommending.
But are the buses, the restraint that they had to have, are they, there was a law that came into effect, wasn't there, like, what was it, how long ago? A year, 2 years ago? Are these buses compliant?
Yes, they should be compliant, yes. That's a TEA requirement, a state requirement.
any other questions for Mr. Alanis?
I so move to accept item number 8 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Then it has been moved by trustee Escobar and seconded by trustee Rodriguez to grant approval to purchase 2 school buses for the transportation department. All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
7-4, none against, motion carries. Agenda item number 9, consideration possible approval to purchase 2 police units for the police department. Again, the presenter will be District Accountant, Mr. Pedro Alanis.
Yes, at this time, we're recommending to purchase 2 police units. Currently we have our newest units are 2014. They were purchased in 2013. They're getting, they need more than 2 units, but in the budget, we just have for 2 units. And these units, we got several, we looked at several quotes, and these are the police interceptors. They have better options
Stability.
than the regular.
Stability and everything.
Yes.
Yeah, they have better stability and they're way better than the regular vehicles.
Yes.
I know that for a fact.
Our chief recommends, we had the other one is a little bit less expensive, but our chief Gonzalez, he recommends this particular model, and it's a 2021 police interceptor, and they're currently in stock. This particular one is in stock, and the vendor, I believe it's Rockdale Country Ford, and it's a buy-board vendor. And we checked with several similar police interceptors, and this was the least expensive. And then we also checked regular Explorers. They were a little bit lower, but he didn't recommend those particular Explorers.
And what's the price on each vehicle, Mr. Alanis?
This, the one Mr. Chief Gonzalez and we're recommending is $34,420 each unit.
Equipped with all the lights and
It's just
just the vehicle itself,
the
by
vehicle
itself, not including radio, cages.
No, the equipment is gonna run between, I believe, it's gonna be about 8,000
Okay.
per vehicle. If they decide to go with all the gadgets, the lights and the cages and everything.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they need it.
Who's installing that, Mr. Lenny?
Well, actually, we haven't requested for the equipment. They can do it, but it's another purchase. Right now, it's just for the vehicle.
And we're just gonna get the vehicle by itself?
And then later on, we're gonna recommend, we're gonna get the specs for the equipment. And it's about $8,000 more or less per vehicle.
And they don't do that?
They can do it.
I make a motion to approve and to make the unit complete as it should be. In other words, if it's already coming from there and they have the capability, I'm more than sure that if you're buying the vehicle, you're able to maybe, I'm not saying talk down prices, but it's better. See, I
But
think that would.
we'll check with that
Like,
particular.
If you're getting a gun and you're not buying bullets, what do you want? it
We'll
for?
check with that particular vendor to see if they can do the installation. Most of the.
But they're
Sometimes-
selling you the unit. What do you?
Yeah, but
they should be
sometimes
able
you
to
can
do
get
everything.
the other equipment cheaper through
Exactly.
other
Yes.
vendors.
Somewhere else, yeah.
We'll be in compliance.
How has it been done in previous years, Mr. Alanis?
Sometimes it's installed, and most of the time we do it ourselves separate.
And what are the savings when you do that?
Well, we haven't checked it's between 8,000 and 10,000, but we haven't really priced it.
And when you say ourselves, who's that? Who would do that there at school or what? Or what do you mean?
No, we check with local vendors in the region and other vendors. But we don't know, it's gonna be another expense, but between more or less $8,000.
So, and we're getting 2 units?
Yes,
How
we're
many
recommending
units? There are 2, right? So we're looking at 20,000 extra, more or less.
more or less, yes, sir. Yes.
You're still gonna spend it. That's, well,
Yeah.
my motion is already.
So the recommendation is the 2 units by themselves, or do you want?
Well, the thing is, if they can equip it there where we're gonna buy them, that would be great. If we can add another $10,000 to equip them, we'll check. But if they don't do it to our
But if,
specs,
but if it's over the 10,000, then,
Then what they'll do is not take it from the
Okay.
vendor itself and look. at
or
the
we can
cost.
check around to see.
But we don't have to bring it back. You can approve it.
Yes, very good.
Yeah, if you
Well, now we
amend the
can.
motion right now, that if it's in the range of $10,000 below,
Yes,
you can go ahead and bring it, just adjust it in
yes.
the motion.
Yes, because any savings is a savings, whether it's 2,000 or 3 years. I mean,
Yes.
we should be responsible enough to save whatever it is.
And that's where we're gonna look very closely to see where it's more convenient to equip
Exactly.
the vehicle.
So you recommend for us to approve just the vehicle by themselves and then the equipment? That's what you're
Yes.
recommending?
The
Okay,
vehicle, this vehicle, and then if you can add like
Yeah,
$10,000, like for it to be equipped,
yeah,
that'll be.
okay. Yeah, I want to make a motion to approve agenda item number 9, the way you presented it. Next time it's better. If you ask me, it's better if you, next time, if you can give us the quote, the total quote, and then that'll be better. But for this time, I recommend for it to be approved like this, like that you presented.
If I may make a different motion, please, to approve what is being presented plus an additional $10,000 for all those extras to be put at the place that you're purchasing it from. This is just me, of course, we can vote on it. To me, it'd be best to just get it from where we're buying it from for the warranties and all of that, to make sure it's properly installed and getting done the way it is. Of course, if it's more than $10,000, then you would bring it back, like Mrs. Barrera mentioned, to bring it back to see if it would be approved. But that's the motion I made, to just have everything the way you presented it, plus the $10,000 for the additional equipment needed for the vehicle.
Okay, Mrs. Alvarez, you're making the motion to include the vehicles purchased, to include the equipment, but not to go over 10,000. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that would be 10,000 per vehicle.
Correct.
Okay, and is there a second?
I'll second that. I'll second Mrs. Alvarez's
Okay.
motion.
Mr. Pettis, and I'm sorry,
You-
I
you-
made
go
the
ahead.
motion, sir. I made the motion and I understand you have, again, the prerogative to accept, but I don't think you can accept any motion that you have. If I made a motion, you have to take a vote on it. If it doesn't pass, then you bring another motion back. Am I not correct?
Mr. Moreno, I didn't
Am I
hear
not
you make a
correct?
motion.
I made a motion.
I heard you discussing the very same thing, but I didn't hear you make a motion, sir. We were still under discussion.
He made a motion, there was no second. Mr. Escobar made a motion, there was no second. Mr. Alvarez made a motion, and I seconded Ms.
But
Alvarez's
it
motion.
doesn't work like that.
What was your original motion, Mr. Moreno?
Was pretty much what
Ms.
was,
Alvarez
what was,
said.
If,
what was.
if Mr. Moreno's motion
That's
was the
fine,
same,
that's
that's
fine.
fine.
I'm
And,
just
well,
trying
I'll
to
go
figure
ahead and second that.
We're gonna be accepting motions.
Okay. The motion that Ms. Alvarez made, you're okay with, Mr. Moreno?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. All right, if there isn't any further discussion, it has been moved by Mrs. Alvarez and seconded by Ms. Barrera to approve the purchase of 2 police units for the police department that will include installation of equipment not to exceed $10,000 per unit. Is that correct? All those in favor of the
Yes.
motion, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
7-4, none opposed, motion carries. All right,
There's no more
agenda,
discussion, right?
pardon me,
There's no more discussion.
that's it.
So we're not gonna go and do a video and explain.
We are
something.
we're going into agenda item number 10.
All right.
Agenda item number 10, consideration possible approval to advertise for RFPs for an emergency medical technician EMT program for the Roma High School. The presenters actually, District Accountant, Mr. Pedro Alanis, and District CTE Director, Mr. Jose Martinez. You all have the floor.
Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Perez, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Guzman, and audience members. I'm going to ask respectfully that this action item be postponed for a later date. We're still gathering data, and we'll probably bring it back for action at a later date.
Mr. Martin, just before, and that's fine, I guess I make a motion to postpone. But my question to you is this what we had at the high school?
This is the 2-year program that we have at the EMT for emergency medical technician,
Okay.
and we had a 2-year contract. We're just going to go.
Contract.
Yeah, we're going out for bids again, but I'm still waiting for more information, data from the high school. So I just want to make some, look at the information, then come back and make a motion.
Thank
I'll
you.
make a recommendation.
postpone.
I'll second that.
Motion by Mr. Moreno to postpone and second by Mrs. Cruz.
Thank you.
All right, it has been moved by Trustee Moreno and seconded by Trustee Cruz to approve, to postpone the RFPs for EMT program at Roma High School. All those in favor say aye. Please raise your hand.
Aye.
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 4, none opposed. Agenda item number 11, teacher contract recommendations. Presenter will Superintendent Mr. Carlos Guzman. Mr. Guzman. Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
I shall move that we approve the teacher contract recommendations as presented by our superintendent.
Thank you.
I'll
Mr.
second.
Thank you, Ray. Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. The only question is, why is it being, I guess, presented now and not together with the other teacher contracts that we had a while back?
These individuals had not satisfied all the requirements, and so the principals kind of wait to see if they do, so they change
So
the
are
status.
these like the first year employees or?
No, some of them are just, they don't have a certification.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Any further discussion? If not, there's a motion made by Trustee Cruz and seconded by Trustee Rodriguez to approve agenda item number 11 as presented by Superintendent Guzman. All those in favor of the motion, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? 7-4, none against. Motion carries. Agenda item 12, employment of non-professionals beginning July, August 2021 school year. Presenter Superintendent Guzman.
Again, I respectfully request that you accept the recommendations as presented.
I so move.
Thank you.
I shall second it.
Trustee Cruz? Yes. Okay, if there's not any further discussion, then there's a motion on the floor made by Trustee Escobar and seconded by Trustee Cruz to approve agenda item number 12 as presented. All those in favor of the motion say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Perez, let it be known that I'm gonna go ahead and abstain from Rosa Maria Barrera again for this agenda. But I
Thank you.
approve everybody else.
All right, 7 in favor, none opposed. 7 in favor, but with abstention. Motion carries. Agenda item number 13, employment and resignation of professionals and paraprofessionals. Again, presenter Superintendent Mr. Guzman.
We have none at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Guzman. Ladies and gentlemen, before we adjourn, I'd like to take this opportunity on behalf of my colleagues on the Board of Trustees and Superintendent Guzman to congratulate our district teachers of the year and to acknowledge and thank all of our Roma ISD teaching professionals as we celebrate your success, professional growth, and achievements throughout this academic year during National Teacher Appreciation Week. I encourage all citizens to take a moment of your time and show your appreciation to those who have taught us. Everyone has had that favorite teacher that has helped inspire them. This week is meant to honor all of our teachers. Thanks to all of you for being a part of the most dynamic community dedicated to the achievement of excellence that makes up Roma Independent School District. Agenda item number 14, adjournment. Is there a motion?
Adjourn.
Trustee Moreno,
I second it.
Trustee Escobar. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
7-4, none opposed. It is now 6:40 p.m. and this called meeting of the Roma Independent School District Board of Trustees is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.